So, Blue Lock. It's basically the Hunger Games for soccer. But instead of losing your life, you lose your dream, your entire professional career if you can't make it in this brutal camp. I love it. A lot. It's got the competition, the skill, the drama, and a massive roster of characters to root for. By this point, I've finished season 1, though I haven't read the manga at all. Plus, I'm watching the English dub, which honestly to me is fine, but I know some people don't like very much. But as a newcomer, I've hit a glaring problem, and it isn't just Isagi's plot armor. That's just a symptom. The real issue? The POV format. Isagi is our eyes into this world. We only see Blue Lock because he reads the letter. We only meet Bachira, Nagi, or Rin when Isagi meets them. And while we get rare glimpses into Ego's office or other athletes during strategic moments, they aren't the ones carrying the story. And the reality is, if Isagi loses, the story ends. And that creates a massive logic gap, because Isagi has to stay. He has to be the best, even when statistically he shouldn't be. It doesn't matter if Nagi is a natural-born prodigy, or if Bachira is a freakishly amazing dribbler, or if Rin is both physically and mentally far more capable than Isagi. The script demands that Isagi is better, or at least find some crazy skill that only he possesses, like his adaptability, so that he can justify sticking around. And the funny thing is, this is where the show breaks its own rules. The entire premise of Blue Lock is to stop relying on a team. Be the number one, be the ultimate egoist out of 300 athletes. But as the viewers, we're stuck doing the exact opposite. We're forced to rely on Isagi. So instead of wondering who's going to win, which is the whole point of a battle royale like this, we're just waiting to see how Isagi triumphs against the characters who are clearly more talented. It spoils the tension, in my opinion. It turns a winner-takes-all mystery into a predictable underdog trope. Now, you could argue the show isn't about the results, but about watching Isagi grow. But isn't that kind of boring? When you have a character like Nagi, who has raw, unfiltered talent, even before he cares, or Rin, who controls and plays the field like a titan, seeing them sidelined or matched by Isagi's thinking feels cheap a lot of the times. In a real game, instinct and athleticism wins, but in Blue Lock, spatial awareness is the narrative golden ticket for some reason. It's the only way to keep the average Joe relevant in a room full of athletic monsters that in any other scenario could pummel him into the ground. And by centering everything on him, the show wastes the very egoism it claims to celebrate in everyone else. So now you might be thinking, if Isagi being the main character is the problem, how do we tell the story so that doesn't happen? The answer is simple. Change the POV. And I don't mean the infrequent, conveniently timed way Blue Lock does it now. I mean consistently. Picture this. For the first episode, we're introduced to 5 main characters. Nagi, Rin, Isagi, Bachira, and Barou. Now, this could be more characters, but I'm just spouting out the ones that the show has already decided to focus on the most. And now, does that still spoil things somewhat? Yeah, but wondering which one of those 5 is going to be the one is a lot more interesting than knowing the singular person who has to win for the show to continue. Anyway, so like I was saying, we get introduced to these 5 characters, and get to see a glimpse into all their lives, not just Isagi, giving us time to get attached to multiple characters at once. And then, after that first episode, the perspective would rotate every episode. Just like how some books will rotate perspective per chapters. By doing this, we could see each of them grow, change, and struggle in real time, instead of Isagi doing 90% of the growing, while everyone else remains stagnant until critical story moments. We'd have a true clash of titans, where any of them could realistically fail or win. Now, the one thing that this does ruin is the early plot twist, where everyone thinks that they're in the bottom tier building. But let's be real for a second. Did we actually think that worked on every athlete? You're telling me that Rin, a literal soccer genius, believed that he was the lowest class? That twist only worked because the character we were following was a guy who could plausibly be one of the worst. It's a narrative trick that falls apart the moment you look at it through anyone else's eyes. once again showing that we're leaning too much on Isagi's point of view to make the story work. And look, at the end of the day, I still like Blue Lock. It's fast-paced, the stakes feel high in the moment, and the egoist philosophy is a refreshing change of pace from the power of friendship tropes we see in every other sports anime. But as we've broken down today, the show is currently trapped in its own narrative cage. By tying the entire world to Isagi's eyes, it sacrifices the very thing it claims to value: true, unpredictable competition. When you realize that the average Joe only wins because the script won't let him lose, it takes a bit of the magic away. It turns a battle of geniuses into a story about a struggling underdog who claws his way to the top. However, if we had that rotating POV, if we actually feared for Isagi's career the same way we do for the other side characters, Blue Lock wouldn't just be a good anime, it would be a legendary one. At least in my opinion. But I want to hear from you. Am I being too hard on the underdog trope? Or do you agree that the show would be 10 times better if we weren't just following Isagi's internal monologue for most of the episodes? If you could pick just one of the other players to also have their POV incorporated into the show more frequently, who would you pick? For me, it's between the top 3 of Bachira, Nagi, or Rin. I think they all have really interesting stories that I'd love to know more about personally. But let me know in the comments. And if you liked this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into logic behind your favorite media. Thanks for watching, you guys. I'll see you next time. Bye!